excellence of home runs or anything like that, but just exit velocity is excellent. But he's got to stay healthy.
Right. No doubt. Let's finish with Duke, and then we got Lucky and Nick. Duke, what's happening? You're back. Duke and San Bruno.
Okay, so we know it's cold. Now let's say let's look at the ballpark configuration, which I like. But you're a big bopper. Your contract's up. Unless you're a dead pull hitter, you're a right-hander, your ball's going to die in center field, triples alley. Okay, so it's gone right there. San Francisco as a whole, we're in a downturn, obviously. Everybody's working at home in their pajamas on a laptop, so there's no foot traffic. And then let's look at California taxes. So there's a bunch of stuff there that would factor in. If you're a kid coming up through the minors and San Francisco offers you a job, you don't care. You'll go play in outer Siberia. But if you're a big bopper, you're going to take all those things into consideration before you sign with the San Francisco Giants. And, I love the Bay Area. I'm not leaving. I grew up here. But for somebody that's not from the Bay Area,
But would you also agree? Would you also agree? I think we put a disproportionate amount of pressure on free agency when the reality is the bulk of how you build your team is through the draft, international signings, and free and trades, right? Like, free agency is a great way to supplement. But like the 100%. Greatest players in this organization were traded for. Some of them, Kevin Mitchell, Jason Schmidt, Jeff Kent, JT Snow, Hunter Pence. Like, there's a long list of great players that were acquired and then re-signed here. And you got to overpay for some of those guys.
I agree, but guys out of college that they're going to be good, which is a roll of dice. It's got to come. The next good Giants team is going to be from the farm. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and
I really think we're wasting our breath thinking that we're going to sign someone big.
I'm over that, Duke. Real quick. I was over that last year. I thought midway through last season, I was like, there's no chance you're getting Aaron Judge. Now, it all looked good. It sounded good, but I'm with you there. They have to develop the farm, and right now, Duke, I don't know if the farm is in a better place. I don't know if these guys can be pillars. The Wisenhutts, the Fitzgeralds, the Matoses. I don't know if this farm is good enough. Like, what if they don't make giant leaps next season, Duke? Then what?
You got to try them. Anything's better than what happened this season.
No doubt.
Totally
agree. The most uninteresting baseball season I've ever seen. I'd rather watch the days of Johnny LeMaster than what happened this season.
I'm with you there. But that's part of my problem. Thanks for the call, Duke. That's a great call. But that was part of my problem. At the deadline, you don't sell. Okay, fine, don't sell. I honestly didn't have a problem with that. It's like, I don't know what you're going to sell. You got to sell Conforto? Who's looking for him? Who's looking for Mania? Who's looking for Stripling? Nobody. You're not going to sell Alex Wood. You need a pitcher. But you should have committed to the Schmidts. You should have committed to the Matoses. You should have committed to these guys every single day. You brought up Luciano, brought him back down, and then he gets hurt. Commit to Kyle Harrison. Let him pitch 6 innings, not 4 innings. I'm sorry. Commit to these guys. Let them play in the pennant race, and you failed on that one. So I still don't know who these guys are. Let's go to Lucky in the city. Lucky, what's happening?
Hey, what's happening, Bonte? What's up, Shafty? Man, Farhan, to me, man, he reminds me of somebody that's so smart they're stupid. And no disrespect to the man because I don't know him, but I've been around people like that, man, and that's what he seems like to me. And you basically put, a dog in a chess game and told him to play chess, and he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Gabe didn't know what he was doing. Farhan definitely doesn't know what he's doing, and to disrespect my city where we all have generations of family that bled, and fed and died there, he needs to go, man. There's no way that I could support a man who just blatantly disrespects our city. And I've been watching one Giants game this year, man. I said that on social media and I got off. I'm not watching a game if this dude is not going to make any drastic changes. Okay, we can't get a big superstar. Get somebody better than what we have, man.
Exactly.
Make a change, or if not, who's the owner? Greg Johnson?
Yeah.
Get him out of there, man.
Yeah. We'll see. The problem is a great call, Lucky. I don't even know if Greg Johnson cares about winning. I now don't know.
Farhan referenced, he was like, I went to the board and I told them that we need to let go of Gabe Kapler. And I wanted to follow up. who is on that board? How often are you talking to them? So, like, for example, when you look at the Niners, we all kind of know, like, Kyle Shanahan runs the Niners when it comes to the football stuff, and him and John Lynch. I don't mean just Kyle, unilaterally. But the buck does stop with a handful of people. Jed, and I'm assuming Denise and Dr. John, at some level, right?
Yep.
Okay. When I think about the Warriors, the buck stops with who? Joe Lacob, and I'm assuming some combination of Peter Guber and other people.
And some silent partners.
But there are faces. Who does the buck stop with? Who's on this board? Who are these people? Why don't I ever see them? Why are they not face forward? Why are they not out front? You know how hard it is when you have a contingent. Like if you ever go through like some sort of a family issue and you have everybody in the family has to vote or all come to consensus, it's really hard to make decisions.
Right.
When there's one person at the head, it's a little easier. Now, you could still miss. No one's saying you can't.
Right.
But look around sports. How many great organizations are run by a board?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
When you're run by a board, you know what that means? You're trying to increase margins so you can sell. That's the way I view that. It's you're not in it for winning.
It's like having two quarterbacks, right? You really don't have a quarterback if you have two. This board, who's really the Yoder? Who's making the final call? Who's calling the shots here? The Giants are in a mess right now. They're in an absolute mess. I think we're about to hit a dark era of Giants baseball. Like I remember Tim Roy when the Warriors beat Memphis in the Western Conference semifinals back in 2015 for their first championship since Rick Barry and the 75 Warriors. I remember Tim Roy because I was the network coordinator at the time for the Golden State Warriors. He goes, Bonte, I think we're entering the golden age of Warriors basketball. Boy, he was not wrong. He was not wrong. I feel like now, unless they get rid of Farhan, because I have no confidence in him. He said he wasn't even thinking about a long-term extension.
Nor do I.
Well, is he thinking about moving? Because I you're going to allow him to hire the manager who he just hired. Speaking of which, Mark Willard asked a great question yesterday about Gabe Kapler. Why Gabe? What was the reasoning for Gabe? Why Gabe? I don't remember the exact question, but he basically asked him about firing Gabe Kapler. Here's his answer on why Kapler was axed.
I don't mean to sort of avoid the question, but this is sort of the dynamic that happens anytime a team moves on from a manager or head coach. I mean, they bear a disproportionate level of the responsibility. In our case, it's my responsibility to the fans, to ownership, to the organization to decide if a change would be in the best interest and give us the best chance to succeed going forward. And that was my view, and that's why I made that recommendation.
Okay.
Made the recommendation.
But here's the thing. So basically, he threw it all on Gabe Kapler, not acknowledging that he's culpable for the roster that Gabe Kapler had to deal with. And this is my biggest problem, is that zero culpability, zero accountability, zero level of perspective that you gave the guy a plate full of ingredients that could make anyone a meal.
You gave him a poo-poo platter.
Bonte, look at these are the free agents this year. Look at this. Jock Peterson, Crawford, Alex Wood, Jacob Junis, Brebbia, Perez, and Alexander. Nobody wants any of those guys.
Yeah. You bring up Minaya and Stripling?
Here are your opt-outs that you are praying to God opt out. Conforto, Minaya, and Stripling. There's a team option for Cobb. Arbitration is Yastrzemski, J.D. Davis. You know what this is? I'm reading these names. J.D. Davis, Austin Slater, Tyler Estrada, Lamont Wade. Now Estrada's a nice player. Lamont Wade Jr., I'm sorry. He's not an everyday first baseman. That's a team full of spare parts.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That's
no beef there. That's a team full of spare parts.
There's no beef there. No beef whatsoever. He also brought up that he'd be willing to trade anyone to get a big boy. He's now open to that.
What about when Matt Olson was available?
He also mentioned that he'd be open to hiring an old school manager, giving a manager more juice and letting the manager actually write out the lineup card, not himself.
So then why did you move off of Bruce Bochy 5 years ago?
No idea.
I thought you didn't want the gut, and I thought that we wanted the iPad. So now we want the gut. So I want to
it's embarrassing.
I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this. You hired him to do a specific job, which was be smarter than everyone, shift left and right, employ the opener, do all of the crazy, outlandish, advanced analytics stuff, and not do any of the gut stuff. And now you want someone who's going to do the gut stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I see a comment here on the Comcast business text line.
Man.
He knew that 95-70 Gabe would come for him. That's why his ass won't come on the show. Well, I know he's been on with Willard. Maybe he does come on with us. Listen, man. At the end of the day, Farhan Zaidi, there's nothing personal for me.
No, we want the same thing.
I don't hate. Farhan may be a good dude to go have drinks with. I have no idea. But as a president of baseball operations, I have questions, and we need to press you on those questions. You had to know they were coming. That's all it was. All I was doing was speaking, because again, some of the questions Lubman asked, some of the questions that I asked, some of the questions that Willard asked, I haven't heard the day-to-day beat ask, and that's the problem. And so, when Baggerly throws that line in there about guys who hasn't showed their face all year, well, the reason why I showed my face all year is because I knew he wouldn't be pressed yesterday. And I sat back and waited for the first 10 minutes to hear the questions. I'm like, gosh, really? After this season, these are some of the questions that are being thrown his way? Well, you know what? Let's roll up the sleeves. And I wasn't even trying to come at him. I was just trying to ask him for an explanation on something that he said. He said it. It's in print. Those are his quotes.
You know what my job is? My job is to talk about the things that our community talks about. And one of the most seminal things that I've heard from people in my community is, how dare this guy blame our community for why he can't make this team better.
They said they did research on teams that visit, saying that, they don't really like playing a 3-game series here. Really?
You stared the consumer in the face who lives in this community, who breaks their back in this community to stay here, who chose to live here, and you blamed us for why you couldn't make the team better.
And don't give me this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Don't give me this cold weather crap, because the season starts off in the East Coast. It is cold. There's a bunch of rainouts. And the end of the season is September. It gets a little colder in the East Coast as well. So I don't want to hear about weather, this and that. There's bad weather everywhere. There's good weather everywhere. Do people want to play in 100% humidity?
Trent Williams, I don't want to play in San Francisco because it's a little too cold.
It's a little too windy. That's why people, when the Niners are at Candlestick, I don't want to play there. The grass is all chewed up.
It's below sea level.
Yet they had some of the best teams ever assembled in NFL history playing at Candlestick Park. The excuses and the lack of accountability is what bothers me with Farhan. I'm sorry. I walked away from that Jaska. I told Lubman. I told anybody who's in the earshot of me.
What's that?
I said, this guy ain't it.
Well, that's obvious.
This guy ain't it.
That's obvious.
Like you could tell Bob Myers, he had it. I think Mike Dunleavy has it.
Okay.
I think Mike Dunleavy has it.
I trust your judgment.
John Lynch clearly has it.
Yeah, and look, and John Lynch has missed a lot. But when he wins, when he loses, I see someone who is maniacally obsessed with winning at the ultimate level. When I saw Bob Myers, he hit and he missed. I saw a guy maniacally obsessed at winning at the ultimate. You know what I saw yesterday? A guy interested in proving himself right, and not just winning at the ultimate. He doesn't think he's done anything wrong.
No,
at all.
He thinks they were like, we're really good here, and we're really good there. It's like, okay, all right, sure. We watched the team. You won 6 road games since July 18th.
I talked
6 road games.